Welcome to Pick Me Up Infinite Gacha. In the mobile gacha game infamous for its atrocious difficulty, Loki, ranked 5th globally, blacks out mid-raid. He awakens as Islat, a level 1, 1-star hero. To return home, he must lead rookies and heroes to conquer the 100th dungeon floor. A man introduces himself as Mormont Carl, saying he's a mercenary, and another man introduces himself as Lyle, remarking that he doesn't know why they're here. A boy nervously says he's Grit and works at an antique store in Halcyon, admitting that he also doesn't know why they're here. A girl says she's Jenna, who was living in a remote forest and also doesn't know what's going on. Finally, a man tells them he's a farmer named Islat, and the same goes for him. The others question how all the 11 people here don't know why they're here, so Lyle thoughtfully remarks that the only thing certain is the fact that they're all from Townier, and wonders if they'll be able to figure something out if they keep conversing with each other, but a girl suddenly appears and asks what they're talking about, ordering them all to get ready to fight since Master is about to open a space-time rift. She introduces herself as Ussel, a fairy who managed this entire place, and tells them to stay in line if they don't want to get hurt. Mormont asks how she can be so thoughtless after kidnapping people and declares that he's going to make her spit it all out. Hearing this, she advises him to stop if he doesn't want to die, but he says he's going to teach her some manners, so she instantly beheads him, telling the others that anyone who lays a finger on her will end up a corpse. The others react to this with shock and wonder if he's really dead, and one of them tells the fairy to use her words if there's something she wants. She tells them that what she wants is for them to listen to her orders, fight well and win. Notifications suddenly start popping up, stating that parties have been formed, seeing which she remarks that Masters started operating and tells everyone to get ready before opening up a space-time rift and telling everyone to get in, but Han asks her to tell the Master to summon them a weapon for them to climb the tower since they're 1-stars without even a basic weapon. She admits that's true and asks her Master to summon a weapon for them. Hans tells the others to get themselves a weapon since it's going to be starting soon. Everyone pick out their weapons, and Ussel tells 5 of the to enter the door, while Jenna notices Han examining a shield and wonders if she should have gone for that one before asking him if he knows what's going to happen, why they need weapons, where they are, and why there's a fairy with them. He remarks that she really has a lot of questions and says she just has to go into the battlefield and kill all the enemies while figuring out the rest by herself. He suddenly sees that the first party was wiped out on the first floor and tells Jenna that it's their turn next, as she questions why the people that left earlier aren't back yet. A man asks the fairy to leave him out, sign he can't walk because of his arthritis, but Jenna drags him along as the rest slowly enter the rift, with Han confidently leading them. They reach the first floor of a mysterious dungeon, and Han hurriedly tells the others to get ready as the door starts opening. They're suddenly transported to a different world where they're ordered to slay all enemies, so Han tells the others again that they'll die if they don't fight, but sees the 3 guys running away as fast as they can. Jenna stays with him and asks if they'll be able to leave after defeating the goblins, so he tells her to shoot with her bow from afar while he fights the goblins. The goblins start rushing forward as Han inwardly admits he's never wielded a sword or a shield before, and his real name is Han Seojin, who got sucked into this RNG game. Pick Me Up, a mobile game made by Mobius. The goal of the game is to get to the 100th floor of the tower, so you create materials to support and fortify your hero and use strategy and tactics to clear the tower. Until yesterday, he was living an ordinary life. Heroes range from 1-7 stars, and he's a guy with horrible luck, and even with thousands of gacha pulls, he's never gotten a hero over 5 stars once, even though everyone else has them. Unlike other games, Pick Me Up has hardcore rules to it. Even the heroes you put your all into cannot be revived if they die. As he's playing, he suddenly starts receiving a warning, and a player named Level 999 kills his hero before a notification pops up telling him that he's lost. He remarks that this is an obvious system error before suddenly realizing he can't see anything. A screen creates an account and asks him to name his character before accidentally choosing anything and taking him to the tutorial section. A screen explains that he's Han Islat, and that he's in Taunia, the ground where humans live alongside other species which an unknown enemy invades. It tells him to climb the tower if he wishes to escape and to take down the goblins. He confronts a goblin and remarks that this isn't realistic at all before it jumps at him. He manages to block its attack and slashes it with his sword, remarking that his brain couldn't follow the feeling of killing another organism. Later, he wonders if he's in some sort of game before suddenly realizing it's pick-me-up as a door opens, and he pulls a super rare comrade named Shay. He wonders if he got summoned like that too, as Shay asks if he's the one who summoned him, and in a battle, Han remarks that she's strong enough to take down 4 goblins at once. Unlike him, who's never held a sword before, they had an overwhelming stat difference, but he didn't have a problem with it since she was 3 stars higher than him. But the problem started from there. He recognizes Usul from the game and tells her to teleport him back to Seoul, but she just tells him to go inside the doors for synthesis, which he denies and says he'll die. He suddenly gets thrown inside and Shay tells him that the synthesis is starting. He inwardly explains that synthesis means enhancing a hero by sacrificing the other. But the problem lies in the fact that he's a 1-star knight, and she's a 4-star, so a normal player would have 0 reason to let him live and kill off Shay. As synthesis ends, he realizes he was the one chosen, in shock as Shay bids him farewell and dissipates. In present day, he remarks that he was able to survive and admits he was lucky Shay died because the master was stupid, which is why this is such a bad game. He's about to tell Jenna to regroup, but suddenly gets attacked by a goblin from behind, so he crushes it with his shield, remarking that a level 999 bug stared at him and laughed right before he got summoned, so it must have been that thing that dragged him here. He menacingly declares that it messed with the wrong person, and a while later, as she's sitting beside the corpses of the dead goblins, Jenna worryingly looks at his missing arm, but he tells her it'll be fine once they go back, remarking that there is almost 0 player control with the combat in this game, because of which the heroes automatically do most of the combat, but this game still has over 1 million downloads worldwide because you can observe this world like a god. He looks over at the eye staring at him from above and menacingly questions if it's having fun, and inwardly says he was also a player who enjoyed pick-me-up because of its item crafting, tactics and strategy, hero ascension with hidden features. He tells the 5th place ranker, Loki, to watch him until the end. He decided to accept that winning is for children, so he won't complain anymore since this is the world of pick-me-up and he was summoned as a 1-star hero from birth. Han explains there are 2 ways for heroes to die, in a battle or by being compounded, and he's only a 1-star who are completely disposable and of the lowest quality. The basic stats are pathetic and the growth rate is low too, so he won't be able to escape the risk of being compounded at this rate and has to become stronger. He has to survive, revenge and return, but all of that is impossible if he doesn't get any stronger. He admits he'll be eaten alive if he doesn't accept things as they are, and tells himself that he has to become mentally stronger too, because he can't survive this place with an unstable mentality. As he's exercising, Jenna asks what he's doing and says she was looking for him since she thought of what she's going to do all night. She aims at a dummy and reveals her father was an archer, telling him that she won't be a burden. Han asks if yesterday was the first time she had to fight to protect her life and notes that she got 4 stats points from yesterday when she reveals it was. He remarks that she's lower than him, but has still got her unique skills, and adds that she moves on from others' death quickly and knows what her goal is before acknowledging her as a diamond in the rough. He agrees to help her, so she holds her hand out and tells him of how her dad always said building connections is very important in life before they shake hands. Han calls for Usul, who says she's not going to answer him no matter how many times he tries, so he asks if he's the only one who can see the stats window above her head. She becomes flustered and nervously says she doesn't know what he's talking about, but he remarks that it says 257 above her head. Seeing her reaction, he confirms that he's the only one who can see the game's messages and asks her of what happens if the master quits, so she tells him to pray that he doesn't before he confirms that the time here and on Earth is different. He tells Jenna that they have to go through the 100 stages of this tower and have to complete the missions the master gives them. He assures her that Master is probably going to summon other different heroes along with them too, and inwardly remarks that his life hangs on the choices he makes from now, although ultimately, both their lives are in the hands of the Master. After completing a day of training, Han discovers a rule of the world. Daily necessities and food are replenished every day, and if you imagine something you would like to have, it appears in a drawer or closet, although guns and similar things obviously don't work. He adds that the results of training are also very different since there are occasionally herds that have different powers than others that are in the same rank. Although training doesn't increase stats or levels, it refines skill learning and skills in general. The Master will soon place the summons into 3 categories. Mentality, he doesn't care for those who are prone to panicking. Skills, high-ranking heroes are summoned with their skills already learned, but skills of low-ranking heroes are hidden, so Master has to look for them manually. And physical capability, the thing he's trying to improve right now. On the 3rd day of summoning, Master logged in and began summoning. 3 men appear and immediately start questioning what's happening, but Han and Jenna determinedly enter the dungeon and get ready to fight the enemies. The men are shocked upon seeing the monsters around them, so Han tells Jenna to take care of the 2 goblins while he fights the wolves and swiftly kills one. Han whirls around and blocks another wolf before slashing it as well. He sees that the goblins are dead as well and tells Jenna that she's turned it into a real pincushion, asking just how many arrows she shot into it and telling her it's dead. They leave the dungeon after clearing the 2nd floor, but realize they're being sent to the 3rd floor directly before the Master logs out, and Han breathes a sigh of relief. He wonders if it's 1 floor per day and calculates that the Master should be logging in once every 3 days before taking a look at his stats. The newly summoned men ask Jenna why they're being forced to fight, hearing which he looks over at them and remarks that 1-star players are just regular people who've lived a life far removed from the battlefield. He realizes why they're called 1-stars and remembers the 2-star mercenary Mormont, wondering if more combat-focused individuals are ranked higher. He says 1-star mercenaries will go into fear or panic mode as soon as they're thrown into battle, but that isn't the case with 3 stars or up. He wonders if they were summoned with prior knowledge and remarks that Shay probably knew considering her demeanor. Jenna annoyingly asks if he can't help with those guys, so he asks her why he'd bother with useless trash like them when they'll disappear soon anyway. He tells her to forget these guys and that they'll be fighting together next time before one of the men approaches him and says he has a question. Han tells him to keep it to himself, hearing which the guy angrily grabs his collar, so he pummels him in the face and says they were all hopping around in the back while he and Jenna were losing blood out there. Training continued the next day, and they went into weapon training, although it was just him swinging a wooden sword and Jenna with her bow, while the other 3 went around trying to look for an exit. As they're training, Han tries to swiftly block all of Jenna's arrows, but one of them catches his leg. But he tells her not to worry about it because the laws here aren't the same as where they're originally from, since wounds heal quickly here. He tells her to continue training, remarking that pain is good because it reminds him he's alive. They arrive at the square where Usul angrily tells them off, but Jenna remarks that her body's itching for a change after all that training, hearing which Han asks her how she's adapting faster than him, so she coolly says she's made of tough stuff. Listening to the other 3 guys rambling about how they want to go home, Usul angrily beats them up and orders them to get into the dungeon where Han and Jenna start fighting, as he remarks that the 3rd floor isn't a big deal and agrees with Jenna on the fact that it was a bit boring this time once they're done. She looks over at the others and wearily says they still aren't fighting, so he tells her it doesn't matter since he doesn't want to split exp with them anyways, and they won't get any if they don't participate in battle. He notices that the Master is about to spin the Wheel of Fortune, and they get teleported to the 1st floor, seeing which he remarks that it seems like he isn't totally heartless and sees that the goblins are exactly the same as the ones they fought on the 1st floor. They quickly clear the stage with Jenna being the MVP, but the option to attempt floor 1 appears again, seeing which he believes the master isn't going to let them rest easily if they clear the floor out so quickly, so they clear the floors again, after which Jenna wearily admits she's tired as they return from the dungeon. She says she's tired of doing all the work, so he tells her to not worry since it'll all be over after today, since he doesn't think the master is so well off that they can afford to keep these good-for-nothings for long. Synthesis begins, and the system asks the master to choose the heroes, seeing which Han says goodbye to the idiots who couldn't even grab an opportunity when it was handed to them. Han remarks that a lot of chances have been given and adds that the master shouldn't be clueless on the whole thing and should know who fights the monsters on the front lines, who plays an active part, and who does absolutely nothing. Ussel tells Jenna and Usselsons to go to the synthesizing room, so Han assures her that she'll be fine. The man questions what he's done and says he was randomly dragged here, but Han says it would have been different if he had at least pretended to fight, so he shakily goes in and tries to break out of the room as he gets dissipated. Jenna questions what happened, so Han tells her that those who are useless are wasted as sacrifices in this place and wonder which one will be with him before Toby gets selected. In the room, he manically thinks he's being sent home, but Han slowly exits the room later and tells the only remaining guy that he was lucky. Jenna wonders if she'll be killed if she becomes useless, but Han just tells her to follow what her father said if she wants to live. The second day, the only remaining guy apologizes and admits he was wrong, assuring them that it will be different from now, so Han throws him a spear and asks if he knows of the basics, explaining that the most efficient way to progress when there are only 3 of them in the party is to have a sword as close-ranged, spear as mid-ranged, and a bow as their long-ranged weapon. He rushes forward to spar with the man and tells him that he learned how to fight by himself, which is why so he should too. As Han begins attacking him from every way, he tells him to be thankful he has someone to spar with since he only had scarecrows as opponents, so the man nervously shuts his eyes and rushes at him, but Han kicks him in the chest and asks if this is all he's got when they're not even putting their lives on the line, telling him that he'd already be dead if there was a monster instead of him. Jenna asks if he isn't being too harsh for the guy's first time, so he says he doesn't want to be caring for anyone and tells her that he'll leave her behind if she can't keep up. He asks the guy if he's got any family, so he reveals that he has a little sister waiting for him. Han remarks that he at least has someone waiting for him and asks what'll happen if he fails to go home, since it'd be really painful to die at the hands of a monster, more painful than being synthesized, telling him to just give up if he can't go on like this. The man angrily grits his teeth, seeing which Han grins and remarks that the spark in his eyes is much brighter than it was before. Later, he unlocks free roam and opens the forge before telling Ussel to come out and instructing her to go on the internet, since she should be able to do that if she can interfere with the system. She admits she can, so he asks her why she likes the 5th master, Loki. She says it's because he made the impossible possible and asks how he doesn't know when he's a pick-me-up user, but he says sorry for breaking the news and reveals that he is Loki.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.